Lord, give me strength to face another day, to make it the long life's road, carry my heavy load. Give me strength, oh Jah, to carry on. Oh, my Lord. Blessed love. This is Luciano Jah Messenger, and you're in tune to the Crossover Show and the Crossover TV with Empress Kendra.
Hi, this is Ed Robinson. Yeah, hear me? Without further ado, I could chant it now for the queen of all media. Na na, na na, Mama Kendra, oh, you're the greatest, yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. See, let the truth be known. Never had a boring moment in our lives. With Kendra on the radio, we are never alone. We're never, never by ourselves. We always have someone to call out. Yes, yes, yes. So from out the blue she came, yeah. She brought us the sun when there was rain. We're no more here alone. Ever since Kendra.
We are so live all over the world, www.bronxnet.org. We are not going to miss a beat. Click on channel 68 today. Tell a friend to tell another friend. We have Dr. Nancy Wahab in the building.
Hi, Kendra.
Yes, and tell them your title.
So I'm a psychiatrist and a medical director at Hudson River Health, also called Sun River Health in New York City. So it's a large clinic, and we have branches all around New York. It's a large clinic, and we have branches all around New York State.
Thank you. Say it one more time. Y'all better get, first of all, let me tell them, hold on. Let me interrupt you. Get a paper and a pen right now. You better get a paper and a pen because we have so much information for you today. This is going to be too much, okay? So you know how you all are waiting for your broker and you can't find a broker and you need information, you don't know what to do. We got you right now. So Dr. Nancy Wahab is in the building. Whenever you tune into Crossover TV, bi-monthly you'll see Dr. Nancy Wahab. She's one of my doctors that's always in my building, and I love you.
Thank you. Likewise, Kendra.
Tell them your title.
I'm a psychiatrist, and I'm a medical director at Sun River Health.
Okay. And Chantelle Paige. Tell them what's going on, Chantelle.
Hi, I'm Chantelle Paige. I'm an OPWD self-direction broker based in the Bronx and a mom of a 12-year-old with autism. You might have seen our story on the Sesame Street See Amazing and All Kids a couple of years ago. That little boy, Nazea, that's my son.
Now she tells me. You know, she was sitting with me. We took pictures. We did video. And she didn't tell me. Okay. But that's okay. Maybe we can get them up here. And maybe they can meet. Isaiah and your son can meet. Okay? All right. So I want to do this. Are you ready to talk today? Are we talking the talk?
Always.
All right. Let's do it. Okay. So my ladies are in the building. I have the experts in the building. And you are like the in-between between the credit card. And you are the one that helps us get the diagnosis because we have to have a diagnosis. So we're going to do this right here on Crossover TV Live with Kendra, and we're going to do this. We're going to give you all the information today. So Dr. Nancy Wahab will give you the intake number for Sun River Health, and then she'll tell you the diagnosis. What is the diagnosis of autism?
So autism is diagnosed by developmental delays that we see always before the age of 3. It's going to be problems with speech, eye contact, social skills, and then later on when the child gets into school, sometimes some academic delays, problems with social skills, interacting with other kids, making friends. But typically we're going to see, by definition, we see before the age of 3, usually problems with speech and meeting the milestones on time, like talking, walking, motor skills. So I urge parents, if they notice any delays in their kids, immediately take them to the pediatrician, get an evaluation from the pediatrician and then from the psychologist. Where I come in is usually when the children, if they need some kind of psychiatric medication later on for depression, insomnia, behavioral issues, usually the psychiatrist can help them later on.
Thank you. So now we know it's more prevalent in boys.
Correct.
I noticed that, Isaiah, you go to any of your kids' classes and you'll see like there's a bunch of boys and may not even be one girl.
Yeah,
So it's more
statistically,
prevalent.
70% of autism patients are boys. Yes,
Okay,
correct.
that's really good to know because, you know, we have a lot of boys. Well, these boys are so wild. And they're not wild, but, you know, this is a chance for us to see that something is going on. Okay, so some of the things we did not even notice, like these kids are not even looking at us. They're
Exactly.
spinning around,
Right.
you know, flashing lights, you know, they're
Exactly.
turning lights on and off. So those are things that we can look for. I just wanted to give, what do these kids look like? What do they look like? Because I know we get diagnoses
Correct.
early now, like
Yep.
about a year or a year and a half. They're
Correct,
starting
that's
to know.
correct,
The
yeah.
doctors, because back then they didn't know. Because my son is 17,
Right.
and he's going to be 18 in November, and your son is 12. So back then we didn't get the diagnosis
Correct.
that early, and we wasn't diagnosed with autism right away.
Correct.
So we get another diagnosis first, and then you get the other, and then it's autism,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, sometimes it just looks like speech delays or
Is
some.
it P? What is it?
PDD,
Yeah.
NOS.
Yes, thank you.
Pervasive developmental
So
disorder.
you get that
correct.
first, and then
Yes.
the diagnosis first, and then you go to the autism diagnosis.
Yeah, when the symptoms extend for a longer period of time, we'll
Okay.
call it autism. Yeah.
Okay, so great. So what does it look like in public? You know, that's things that we need to talk about because I want people to know that you need to let these people skip the lines. You know, we gotta let them skip. Listen, they need to buy. Listen, we don't buy if we don't buy little Joey or
Billy or
Akeem,
whatever.
their little toy, or get them their little food, that little food thing they was looking for. They're gonna go crazy in there, and we don't want that. So we wanna, you know, let us skip you, please.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but please let us skip you.
Yeah.
If you see the kids are going crazy and doing all this, let them skip the line. It's okay. Let them go. They're not being bad. It's just something else is going on. And you know, we you know, I want you to touch on this as well. Because when you see a parent holding on to their child
Right.
and you know, by the wrist and not by the hand, because typically we hold our children by the hand.
Correct.
So when you see them holding on by the wrist, most likely we're holding on to secure them
Correct.
so that they cannot run.
Yep.
Because our
Yep.
kids are runners. They elope, right?
Of course.
Okay. So I just want people to know what it looks like.
Right.
So be a little compassionate, you
Right.
know.
No
Let's-
judgment.
Yeah, yeah, I love that word. No judgment. Because, you know, we always embarrassed or ashamed. We don't want to, you know, some people just never leave their house after school.
Right.
And that's when Chantelle comes in and she gets us out the house.
Correct.
So tell us what you do, Chantelle.
So I'm an OPWDD self-direction broker. So OPWDD is the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities. Once your child has a disability, you're able to do what we call apply for a waiver, Medicaid waiver. There's an application process. You have to go through the front door. I wish there was a care manager, someone here to explain their part of things, but basically you would secure a care coordination agency, and they will walk you through and help you through getting through the waiver process.
Okay, I just want to stop you so people don't get confused. Stop. Everybody, you got your paper and your pen? This is going to be very valuable today for us, okay? If you never had this information, you don't want to wait on long line for intake, they don't call you back. We are here to give you all the information. So care design, you have to have a care manager. You can't, don't even look at her. You can't get her. You cannot get her. She is not available. You cannot get her until you have care design. So I'm going to give you an organization like Care Design. So the intake number for care design for your care manager, you have to secure your care manager. So you call Care Design's intake number. I'm going to give you that number. It's 347-973-0125. 347-973-0125. And that's Care Design's intake number. So you have to get a care manager first, and then you can start looking toward getting services through OPWDD because you can't do anything without your care manager. Okay, now.
That is correct. So once you... So I'm going to explain it two ways. For those who
Yes.
already have OPWD services, but you have what's called traditional services, because there's two ways to get into self-direction. If you already have OPWD services, and maybe you're getting community rehabilitation, you're getting some respite, maybe your child goes to an after-school program, you can still get self-direction. You can ask your current care manager to submit what's called a service amendment request form. And when they submit that form, they're going to request self-direction approval. Once you get that approval, then you can secure a FI, you can secure a broker, and you can start the self-direction process. So that's the first way if you're already receiving services from OPWDD. If you're not, you're starting right from the beginning, sorry. It's a lengthy process. You have to go through the front door. So you have to go to a meeting. They're going to explain all the different services that OPWDD offers, right? Obviously, they don't give us anything for free. So we got to do something first, which is going through the front door. Once you get there.
That's free.
Is it free?
It's free. The front door, it's free.
It's free.
I did
It doesn't cost money, but it costs you time.
I know, but you get a certificate. It doesn't take
Yes.
long, and you. So I had one of my things, and I had them come out and do it. I had one of my out,
Yep.
on location. So I don't want to interrupt you too much,
No,
but
it's
it's
okay.
free.
Yeah,
and,
it's free.
And it's a certificate. You get that certificate, and then they can walk you through, and you can start your, getting ready.
That is
but you
correct.
still have one more step. Go ahead.
Yep. Once you go through the front door, you get, and you also receive the waiver approval. At that point, you can also start the process to get into self-direction services.
Oh, we missed one thing.
What's that?
Oh no, you're gonna kill me, right?
Which one?
Tell me to mind my business. Information session.
The SD information session?
You
Which
have
one?
to do that after the front door. After the front door, you can get that and that's different.
Once you go through the front door, yes.
And that's you get a certificate, and
Yep.
then you have to do one more now. You have to get the
you can
information.
get you have to go to the self-direction. You have to attend, a self-direction info session. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so see, so this is a new step. Just to let you all know, this is a new step. I don't know when this started.
Yeah.
About.
Well, you always had to go to an info session. You always had to. You
I
always
just
had
went
to
through.
go.
No, I just went through the front door when I.
Oh well,
remember
Isaiah
this has been.
yeah,
he's
Isaiah's
17.
older.
He's
Yeah,
17, so I've been.
But
you know.
it's been at least 5 years since you've had to go through a self-direction info session.
It's probably around the time. Yeah.
Yeah. The good thing is that now, before we had to go in person, now it's online.
Oh, that's very convenient.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now
but
it's online.
people are having trouble getting online. So now, I just want to talk about that process. So not just Care Design, but other organizations. If you have a care manager, you can ask them because there's another way that they can help you get online. So you can ask for support getting online because not everybody can do all this, and they want self-direction, but they're still trying to be, more official with getting things done.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
yeah.
what else? Now, what happens once we get? What is self-direction?
So self-direction is a community-based program. It's a program OPWD has that allows people with disabilities to get into the community and remain in the community. They don't want our kids in homes, in residential homes. They don't want them to be locked up at home. They want them out in the community, engaging, living life like anyone else would be doing. And that program is there to assist us to do that with our kids.
Okay, so you get a budget.
Yes, you do.
And
So, so once you are approved for self-direction services, then you can start looking to get a broker and a fiscal intermediary. My job as the broker is to help you to create your budget initially and then manage your budget going forward. In order to access the funds, you have to have a fiscal intermediary. So that means that that person, or that company rather, is responsible for the money, and they like to go between. Fiscal, meaning money, intermediary, between. They're the people that actually have access to the funds. We don't get money like in our bank accounts. They're not giving us a bank account with $100 grand and telling us, hey, go spend it on your kid. No. There's services that you can use it for, and in order to access those services, you do so through an FI.
Okay. You want me to say anything?
I don't know. I don't know if you want to say anything.
So they're giving us like a little. Different things going on right now. So it's like a direct deposit to get your reimbursements back. If you put out money for reimbursement for program, I just found this out last week. I'm like, I asked her, she sent me like, oh, fill out this direct deposit. I said, does that mean you're doing direct deposit? So now they're doing direct deposit.
Yeah.
So this is something new.
Yeah.
So if you put out money for a program that you want your child to have, so they'll reimburse you through that method of payment.
Yeah. So there's many things that you can use the funds towards in self-direction. Now, it's different. There's a kids version and there's an adult version. Kids, unfortunately, cannot access everything that adults can access because, let's be realistic, our parents are responsible. As parents, we're responsible for our kids until they reach a certain age. The thought process is that when you hit 18, technically you're able to take care of yourself. However, because kiddos have disabilities, that's why they have now a budget that will help them to take care of themselves. So as a child, you can access, or your child rather, can access things such as community classes, right? And these can be almost any class you can think of, as long as they're open to the public. They're not just for people with disabilities. They have published fees, right? That's a really big one. So they have to be open to the public. Can't be for people with disabilities. They must have published fees. Okay.
Can you explain published fees?
Published fees meaning that the fees have to be listed in some way, shape, or form, either via a website or a flyer or a brochure or something that anyone can access at any time. And there's not a differentiation in fees for a neurotypical person or a person with a disability. Okay.
I love it.
Yep. I don't know what that means on the screen. Do I keep talking?
Oh. Oh, okay. So now I guess we're going to go and to a break in a minute, but not yet. Because
Okay.
I want you to keep going. You're rolling. You're doing good.
Okay. So once you meet those two criteria, guys, it can literally be anything that you want it to be. I don't know. Does your kid want to know how to snowboard? I don't know. They want to know how to ski. They like art. They like to rap. You know, what do they like to do? They can get some of these classes covered. And the only issue I see is that this is a reimbursement program, meaning that you pay out of pocket. And Kendra and I have discussed
We
this
have
before.
went back. We've been like,
as to why this might be a barrier for a lot of people of color, a lot of people that live in certain neighborhoods. The barrier is the funding. And unfortunately, I wish it was different, but it's not. It is a reimbursement program. So this means that you'll pay out of pocket and then you'll be reimbursed. There's the ability to have what's called direct provider pay, but the companies out there would have to be willing to accept payment from the FI and wait for payment. And as we
Quay
know,
ain't got no credit. Look, you want Quay. You telling me that, oh, Quay or JJ over there got some, you know, we got to think about this. You know, this is what lets me know that the system that we have is still a little broken.
Right.
So
It
we
is.
have
I
to
agree.
make this on an equal scale, and it's not
Yes.
on an equal scale yet. I've been going to many meetings and things like that with different, being on different groups and I just see what everybody else is getting, and I get on there, and I'm the only one that looks like me, and so I'm a little concerned that we're not getting what we need to get from, you know, if you get a budget of, let's just say $50,000
Yeah.
for your child, and you don't have, Quake ain't got no credit card, Quake, or you know, Nene, and then what we gonna do now? Little JJ can't go to camp. Son can't go to camp. Like, what we gonna do? Like, this ain't right, you know. So we have got to still talk to the people that need to hear us. I used to always be at a meeting, and I want to thank OPWDD for always coming up here and coming out on location with me. And we just, you know, with the pandemic, it was really hard for them to get in the building today. But I knew that Chantelle could do a really good job explaining traditional services and self-direction services that are through OPWDD. But OPWDD, we have a lot to do because we have to go to the state, and I think we still have to lobby a lot. We have a lot to do. And I think it's just us getting on the committees so we can tell people what we need. They create programs, but ask us what we need because we are not getting what we need.
Yeah, and I'll definitely say a lot of my patients that are enrolled in self-directions, they tend to be more from like middle class, upper class backgrounds because they have this kind of unfair model where you have to pay up front and then await reimbursement, and it's not realistic for everybody.
And you know, what's your opinion? Because you were saying that maybe one day, you know, we were just thinking. I was telling everybody at one point, hurry up, get your kids, or get JJ on, get Nene on, get everybody on, because what's going to happen is that soon maybe these programs they stop putting us on. Like, you know, anybody, they close maybe because some of the programs do close. There was a
course.
program with housing, right? Our
the
kids
home
need
of
to
your
live in a
own.
house.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, we don't need to live on top of people. Our kids run, jump, and scream. I feel like our kids need to live in a house. Where are those programs where they can help us get our kids in a house, to live in a house or on a ground floor level? And it's too difficult.
Well, I told you they had the program Home of Your Own. but that closed a few years back, where if you had a person with a disability, they would help you to purchase a home.
Oh, it's like a home mortgage program or something? Oh, it's wonderful.
Yes, it would help you to fix your credit if you had bad credit, everything. But then the program was closed, and so it's no more, unfortunately. And I mean, to your point, you know, self-direction is a wonderful program, but it's a program that eats a lot of money. So how sustainable it's going to be moving forward for New York State, I don't know. So I do suggest that families get in now when they can.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of, you know, what's the point of having a budget of 60,000 or 50,000, and then you're expected to use 30,000 for programs, and you don't have the money to put out the $30,000. And you know what kind of growth your child would have if that child had all those programs. They may be talking, they may be doing more things, right?
Absolutely.
So,
I definitely.
Tell me your services.
For my son personally, or
yes.
Well, I can attribute a lot of my son's personal growth to self-direction services. He started when he was 5 years old, so he's now 12, and I attribute a lot of his social growth, his emotional growth, even because he's in classes like karate and stuff, right? His ADHD. You know, he's in classes like karate where, you know, the sensei is like, hey, I said what I said, and that's what I said, and that's what you're going to do. I know you want to bounce off the walls.
Oh, I gotta get Isaiah over there.
I understand that you want to bounce off the walls, but we're not bouncing right now. I said no bouncing, you know? And so it's been very beneficial for my son, right? So I contribute a lot of his growth to the programs and the services, and I don't know if... my husband and I had to pay for all of that out of pocket without being reimbursed, I don't know if we could have put him in as many programs as we have, because he's done a lot of things.
Say it. Go ahead, say it.
So he has done social classes. He has had a executive functioning coach. So right now he's doing that right now.
What does that mean?
Executive functioning. So it's a coach that when kids typically have ADHD, they have an executive functioning issue.
Right.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Doc. You're the doc, not me. Right? So he uses his executive functioning coach to stay on track in school, to work on his organizational skills, his timing, things of that nature. So he's doing that currently. He has done some basketball. He's a great artist, a very talented kiddo. So he's taken some classes with some private artist instructors who have really helped him to hone his craft. He's done some gaming, coding.
Cool.
Yeah, he's doing swimming right now too. I mean, he's doing quite a bit of stuff.
And he's only 12 now.
And he's only 12.
Right.
And then as his interests change, then we just change out the classes. And this is what makes the program, this is what makes the program great. That it can grow with your child, right? And as I told Kendra before, I do understand the barrier of money. Trust me, I get it.
And so pause right there. I know what she's going to say. I know exactly what she's going to say. That's why I want her to pause, because I wanted to comment on what she said. You like that Halle Berry money. No, I'm just... No, you like that Halle Berry money. No, I'm just kidding. Like that Pete Robinson money.
Holly Robinson Pete, yeah.
Holly Robinson Pete, whatever you... Listen, you got that money. And so we talk about this. And I think that at the end of the day, we all don't have that. And I love that you have that. And I love that you can sacrifice and put that out. I remember we had another doctor in Carmen that's been on my show. I don't have to say, I don't want to talk her business. But we talked to her, and she wrote a book too, and she was spending a lot of money, and then she would have to sue and get her money back and wait. But she could sue, and her son attended all these things. I sue. I currently sue, and that's how Isaiah has a $120,000 school. So I'm not, I'm not you. I don't got no Holly money. No, I'm just kidding. But
no, I don't have
but
that
she's
money.
gonna say something, and I want her to say it, and then I'll say something.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I was in conversation with Kendra a couple of weeks back, I think, and I was saying 2 ways that I tell my families that they can cover the expense of self-direction is, 1, get a credit card and dedicate it to your child's SD services. Now, I don't care if it starts out with like a measly $200. You can get a class that costs $200 a month, and then, because remember, guys, when you pay, they reimburse you. So basically, you're just cycling that money over and over again, right? So I suggest that people, 1, get a credit card that they can use strictly for self-direction. I also suggest this process takes time, guys. From the beginning to the end, they say anywhere from 6 to 8 to 12 months. So in that time frame, I told Kendra, hey, maybe set aside $5 a week if you can, $10 a week, and build up a slush fund to use in order to, I see your face, Kendra, in order to facilitate the payments of these classes and programs, because remember, you're going to get reimbursed. So that's kind of my two strategies for families. Outside of that, I can't help because you need money to do that.
So I'm gonna tell you this. So I want you guys to get self-direction. I want us to be in a category that, no, I am not Nene, and no, I have self-direction, and yes, I get services, and I just decided that, okay, for me, I'm using it for staffing. For me, you can use that money for different things. Use it for staffing, because wherever you don't have the money for the programs, you can take that money, turn some of that money around for right now, start building your credit. You can build your credit. You may not get they ain't gonna give you $2, let alone $200 if you don't got no good credit. Okay, landlord, tenant, this, that. So you gotta think about it. So start with the services, because, just think about if you had a team to get a service, I want to get Isaiah to do something, but I can't get him to listen to me. So two of us are going to work on it together. I'm going to get somebody to come in. I'm going to get ComHab. I'm going to get him to go somewhere. I'm going to get all these things done for Isaiah that I cannot do alone. So that is what we have to do. Focus on what we got and what we can do, and start building your credit. Just start building it.
And I will say, Kendra, there are also, I'm not a financial advisor, but there are also credit cards for people with lower credit scores to help build up their credit. So, they may have to start with a very modest amount of money and build up. So
you may have to put your own money up at first.
Right.
But, if you have a hard time with money and bills are hard because you can't go to work because your child is on the spectrum, and it's a rough call. People don't understand that when your child is on the spectrum, how are you supposed to go out there and go to work and do all these things? So I want Dr. Wahab to answer a question, because at this point, we want to make sure that people have the cycles, because before you can do all these things, it's like a step. So you need a psychosocial, psychological.
Yep.
You need a physical. You need your PPD. So you have to have that ready so you could go through to get ready to go get any of these services. You can start with the home health aid first. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so you start with your home health aid first. That gives you a little bit of help in the house so you can start getting out. Dr. Nancy, so I'm going to do this, because through the hardest thing that we have trouble with is getting the psychosocial and the psychological done, which is needed. So I know you guys have an intake number over there at Sun River Health. So what's your intake number at Sun River?
So our intake number is 844-400-1975. As I said, we have clinics all around New York State, and we're accepting patients basically with all types of insurance: Medicaid, Medicare, employer-based insurance, cash. We also take patients who are maybe undocumented, maybe who don't have a good means of paying. We have a sliding scale, and so we try to make it affordable for anyone who needs it. And as far as more complicated things like psychological testing, neuropsych testing, there are other clinics we can also refer patients for AHRC, YAI, and so forth.
Okay, and that's very important. So can they just go to the, I don't know if you can answer this one. Can they go to their regular doc so that we can get home services? Before, I know years ago, they can just go. So Dr. Nancy got that one?
Yeah, if you need like a home care, a home health aide or a home care nurse, that actually referral can usually be done by any physician. So it can be done by the primary care doctor, pediatrician. It can be done by myself, a psychiatrist. And just, it's a brief document. They call it an M11Q form, just stipulating what services a patient needs.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. And that number again? Sorry.
So Hudson River Health, or Sun River Health, as we're called in New York City, is 844-400-1975.
Okay. I'm going to have an event for autism coming up. We do the in-person out on location. So we're going to make it a fun day and an information day. I'm going to invite you ladies out. I want to invite Sun River Health so that we can have that set up so that they can give people the intake, or maybe do the intake on location. Now, we also have to talk about the front door to get them started. But if they're not started yet, they could start with the home health aid at least and get all those things together so they could get ready to have their home health aid to get them ready for the services for OPWDD, which take a very long time. And some people need help right now. I mean, who said, Sonny said this long time ago, right now.
Yes.
Remember Sonny? Right now. So we need it right now.
And I also wanted to point out the OPWD meeting, they have them in Spanish as well as in English. So since we have a large Spanish-speaking population, especially in Bronx, they try to be inclusive,
Thank you guys for filling in for OPWDD so well. I want to say thank you so much to Chantelle. Chantelle, I'm not sure if you, I want to do this, Chantelle. I want to thank you. Can I just thank you?
You're welcome. Welcome, welcome.
Okay, hold my hand. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. Okay. Hold my hand. I want to say thank you so much. She took a lot of time out of her day. Her day is very crazy. So I want to
crazy.
thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and see us today.
Yes, you're
and
welcome.
to discuss all the services that we need to OPWDD, how we can get some of the services,
Yeah.
traditional versus non-traditional, meaning self-direction. And that credit card goes a long way. So you
Yeah.
can pay for things, like she says, refundle it back, pay for something else. You can help your child when the kids get out of school, they can go to the YMCA, they can go swimming, they can play sports. You still
I
have
can
to
give
tell
them
me
some
about the
other stuff too.
like what is that?
Like, so some of the services that you're both children and adults. Let me start with kids. You guys can do, like I said, community classes. We have camps. We have service transportation. So if you have staff, your staff can actually take your child to and from these classes, and you can be reimbursed for that as well. You can have community rehabilitation staff to help you work on your child's goals and their skills and increasing those skills. We have respite, so we can give you a break, so you can go hang out, do what you got to do. That's very important. We all need some respite. You can also use, this is a good one which I really like, which is things like a GPS. So if you have a child who runs or wanders, elopes, any of these things, they will pay for the device as well as the monthly fees associated with that device.
See, this is new. I never heard
So
that
that's
one.
yes, that's something you can get. You can also get staff activity fees. So let's say your staff takes your kiddos to the movies. You can get reimbursed for that ticket that your staff would actually need in order
And
to
their
get
food.
into.
And their food.
And their food, as long as they're working. No Uber Eats though. It's not allowed.
I
Uber
was
Eats
going to
is not
ask you
allowed.
about Uber Eats. Why
That's not
not?
allowed. No.
Why not?
No, you have to be like in the
Oh,
location
goodness.
eating.
No Grubhub? All
No
right.
Grubhub.
No Grubhub.
So those are kind
Vacation?
of the,
You could go on vacation, take your
you-
staff, and
yeah,
pay for
there's
the...
personal use transportation. Now, guys, I have to preface this by saying that it depends on who your FI is. Not all FIs are created equally, and all of them do not follow. They don't all follow a uniformed rule. So, hypothetically, theoretically, you can get reimbursed for your child's plane ticket. You can travel to the 50 United States, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, Canada, and Guam.
For your child's ticket or the
Your
staff's
child's ticket.
What about the staff's ticket?
Depending on the FI, if your staff goes with you, they will reimburse you for the staff's ticket as well as the hotel room. So again, this depends on the FI.
Okay, I'm about to call Janelle. Janelle.
So yes, those are things that those are things that can be reimbursed for sure. And then when your child becomes an adult, now
Yes, let's talk about that.
when they become an adult, and think in the form of what we know to be an adult, right? It's not the same when you have a child with a disability. Some children will stay at home forever, right? They're not going to go out into the world and live these independent lives as much as we would love to see them do so. But they can still access services. They can get their portion of housing paid for. So if let's say you're renting your apartment and your child is of age and they're still living at home with you, you can apply for a housing subsidy and you can get their portion of the rent paid for. Now they have to have tenancy rights. That means they got to be on that lease, guys. If you're not willing to do that, then unfortunately you won't be able to access that subsidy. If you own a home, they have to be on the deed if you want their portion. Yep. There's definitely there's some tricky waters to navigate there, but it's definitely a possibility. You can also get their portion of the utilities paid for, so the internet, the Con Ed, whatever you might have. Their cell phones.
Yeah, they have. We know about those cell phones. Yeah.
A food subsidy. So if let's say you get food stamps, if it's not enough, and they need more, maybe they're on a special diet, or they only eat gluten-free or whatever, you could possibly get a food subsidy. Again,
your budget.
there are in your budget. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there are stipulations around that. Everything has rules and regulations, guys. This is Medicaid, okay? We also have the ability to access house-related services and items. So let's say maybe an individual lives on their own. This is a good one. If an individual lives on their own, maybe they have the ability to do so, or they live with staff. That's another good one too. A lot of people don't
staff.
know.
We haven't
You
talked
can
about
live on
that
your
one.
own with staff too. There's a lot to talk about with
I know.
OPWDD.
I know. I wish
But-
I could keep you. Like, I want to keep you.
Yeah, that's my hope for my son one day, that he will live independently in his own apartment with his own staff and away from mom and dad. Okay, you need to live your own life. So
And you
that's
know
what we're
and-
working towards.
And you know what's funny? That used to be mine. When Jamil, years ago, when we came along, it was just autism. But then when epilepsy came, because there's a huge, can I just let Dr. Nancy say that part? A lot of our, some
At
of
least
our
30%
kids,
of children with
30% of
autism,
kids
have also
end up with epilepsy.
Yeah.
So they have a dual diagnosis.
Yeah.
So that is where all the problems start. So I just wanted to say that. So Dr. Nancy, please give the intake number out one more time for
It's
Sun River Health.
844-400-1975. So our clinic also, in addition to psychiatry, we have primary care, OBGYN, pediatrics, infectious disease, and some locations have other specialties as well, dentistry, podiatry, cardiology.
Just general.
It's general dentistry. Now, if patients do require special needs dentists, I can refer them, again, to other clinics like YAI, AHRC, that have Metro Community Health also have special needs dentists. Yes. And
Awesome.
yeah.
She's just growing and growing. When she first came here, she wasn't the medical director of Sun River. She's
Yes,
just
thank
growing
God.
and growing and
Thank God.
growing.
Yeah.
So I just want to say we're very blessed to be best. We're friends, and not only friends, but we're so blessed that we do a lot of initiatives together for autism, and not just autism, domestic violence. We
course.
do a little bit of everything together, and it's always been a blessing. Her mom is actually in studio today. I want to wave a shout out to her mom right now.
Other Dr. Wahab's.
Other Dr. Wahab. Yeah, doctors running her family. Her brother's a doctor. Hi, Omar.
Yeah.
So I want to do this. Dr. Nancy, can you hand her that mic back? I know you were going, and we were talking about adults and people that live on their own for self-direction and what they can receive.
Yeah, so let's say an individual lives on their own, and maybe they need services like maybe a housekeeper to keep their place clean. Maybe they're unable to do so themselves. You can get services like that paid for. You can get utilities. The household appliances that might be able to assist them. So let's say they're unable to use a stove safely. You can get things such as air fryers and things of that nature. Things that will help them to remain safe.
That's only if they live on their own?
Not only if they live on their own, but for some, I say that because for some FIs, they.
I got to talk. I'm calling Janelle. When I get home, I'm calling Janelle.
It really just depends it depends on the person's ability to do certain things, right? So if your child doesn't even have the wherewithal to pay attention for 2 minutes, it'll be highly unlikely that they will be using an air fryer. So you might not get that approved. You know what I mean? So because you live in a home with other people, they want to make sure it's only the person with a disability who's utilizing certain things.
To be honest, I think it's a great idea if that's something that we're teaching them, because we're always looking for things to teach, and that's what, the staff that you bring in, they're coming in to help teach them to OPWD. That's why you use DD. So you use the staffing money, you use your budget to get extra staff to do all those things.
No, absolutely.
You take them out in the community. You show, Isaiah's about to go to work. He's going to summer youth. He's working summer youth this summer.
Okay, nice.
They said he got a job with his school, Gersh Academy. Let me shout out Gersh Academy. Gersh Academy is my $120,000 school that I love. I love Celeste. Thank you, Celeste. Kevin Gersh, they have some residential place. They have residential a few hours away. They have some great places. They have a new school in Queens.
Yeah, Gersh is
They have a couple. You know Gersh, right?
Yeah, Gersh
so they
is
have
cool.
a couple of schools. So I want to shout out Gersh Academy. We do have to talk about one more thing: guardianship.
Ooh, guardianship?
No, I'm just saying that it's necessary.
Oh, it's very necessary.
Transition. So
It's very
transition at
necessary.
what age is 14, and then we have to talk about guardianship. So guardianship is very important now. For instance,
And estate planning.
yeah, and estate planning.
I say that, not to cut you off, because I personally have a case that has been monopolizing my time lately, where the parent of this young man, he's 32 years old, his mother died unexpectedly 2 weeks ago, and literally he has only me and his care manager.
Oh, God.
And he knows nothing, can do almost nothing.
He can't operate. He can't function.
And there's
he needs help with everything.
There is nothing written as to what should happen with him. So it's on the care manager, myself, and the FI to try to figure it out for him. So that's a very touchy topic for me, one that I'm very interested in.
So estate planning, I think, when you say estate planning, I think it's what we're talking about. Like all of us as parents, we have this thing now where if anything happens to me tomorrow, if I don't wake up every day when I wake up, I'm going to tell you guys, this is very personal. And it's not just me, it's almost every single parent. And the majority of women with children on the spectrum, most of us are single parent. There are few dads that are hanging in there. And so if I don't wake up tomorrow, what's planned out for Isaiah? I try to, like, oh, can I view a place now that Isaiah can go because he won't be able to function on his own? And it's like, no, you can't get it now because you book. It's not you book a hotel because I don't know when I'm gonna pass away or expire. But the thing is that if we pass away tomorrow, our kids are not taken care of, and that is the broken part of the system. So that's our broken part of the system. So what are we gonna do if anything happens to our children? Now, you know that I can't. I probably could die tomorrow if, like, because I did everything. You know, I feel good. You know, I did some. You know, I did an event the other day for children. I know I did all the things that I need to do. You know, I've done everything. I could go tomorrow, but I'm staying and I'm fighting and I want to live and I want to do everything. Don't we want to live? Don't we want to do everything? Because our children need us. So we have to live like. So my expectation now, you know, we have diabetes on my side of the family. We ain't gonna live to like 100, but I need to try to live to like at least 70. So, you know, I'm gonna have to fight it out.
But
and
the thing is, though, we never know when we're going to go.
Exactly, like the case that you have. That's what I'm trying to say.
I spoke to her 3 days
tomorrow.
before,
It could be tomorrow.
and the care manager spoke to her a day before.
Yeah, it could be tomorrow.
Yeah, it's very, very tragic, and it's very scary.
It could be. That's what we go through when we go to bed at night. We want to wake up the next day because our kids depend on us. You know, writing a will. When you write a will, okay, I can't leave Isaiah to somebody in the will because they're not gonna. Isaiah, he will beat you up. He will do all his stuff, and then he'll be nice to you. And then, like, who's gonna do that? So now we have. That's the broken part of the system. We don't know what to do with our children. So now we're stuck. So, and also dual diagnosis. I went to a meeting and I sat in, and we were talking about this. Very important that we go to the state. I'll go out to Washington D.C. and we'll advocate. But right now, the programs that they have set are not for us. If something happens to us before time, what are we going to do? If Isaiah gets sick every time in a hospital, I have to be that black lady. I'm not leaving until you admit my son. If you don't admit my son, and you know what they tell me every time? We're going to call ACS, lady. I said, well, call him. And I start putting my shoes on. I'm putting my shoes on because, you know, I've been there 12 hours trying to get him admitted. I start putting my shoes on, unzipping I was like, I'm leaving. And now I'm like, woo, thank God. They're like, okay, we're going to admit him. I'll be like, thank God. But one day they're going to call ACS. They tried to call ACS on me. Like, so these are the things. This should not be the case for dual diagnosis. You know, either it's psychiatric. He can't be admitted. I used to work at Four Winds. They can't admit him in a psychiatric hospital because they have to start getting him off, weaning him off the meds. Wean him off the meds, he starts having seizures, and he's in ICU because he has Lennox-Gastaut. So now, what do we do? So now, this year, we're going to go to the video slideshow, and then we're going to come back, because I'm hoping this is the slideshow where you get to see, you know, what we went through. That's Isaiah. At this particular point, we're going through COVID. He's critically ill. I had to fight to get him admitted. They tried to kick me out of Montefiore Children's Hospital, which is supposed to be the best children's hospital on Bainbridge. Then Councilman Andy King came in. He knew the director, the board of director, the head of the board of directors, and we had a board meeting. And finally, Isaiah got admitted. He stayed there. They didn't kick him out, and they said they wouldn't change his psychiatric meds, his psych meds. He was beating us up at home. This is Mr. Biggs. So we had the most trouble in that hospital. And I want to say that it's not only been that hospital, it's been NYU. I've been told that I got to leave, I got to go upstate somewhere to get my son admitted in a hospital. I called, Bellevue is supposed to be, this is what I'm talking about. Bellevue is supposed to be one of the hospitals that will take you. And, you know, Isaiah's come a long way from that moment. And Isaiah is, you know, this is Councilman Andy King. He was at the hospital fighting for us to stay there, to get treatment there. They wouldn't treat him for his psych meds. They said they wouldn't do it. He was beating us up. He would beat me up in the room. The staff would watch. They gave him a medication, Risperdal, I believe, something that makes you very hyper. So he was beating me up. They would sit at the desk and watch. And we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things that we have to do. I love NYU. That's my hospital. But at the same time, because I didn't agree with one of the doctors, they said, I'm going to call, they're going to call. They tried to get me to have an ACS case. And
they blacklisted you?
They try to get, you know, the thing is that I want you to know you can do this, people, because people, you may not know this. Some lady taught me this when I was in NYU. I used to love to visit the coffee machine and pray for others. She said to me, you know, you can read your child's medical notes. You can read what the doctors are saying to each other while you're in the hospital. So I said, really? So I went in there and I read that this doctor was trying to get me an ACS case because I told her they did not want to change his medication or take him off that medication and start looking for a new one because they couldn't find anything. But my son was vomiting. He started vomiting and losing, he lost 40 pounds, like 30, 40 pounds. And they were like, we're not taking him off. I said, listen, you have to take him off this medication. And he just kept losing weight and losing weight. He was gagging. And he was about, you know what they told me? You know the GI, it's a GI tube, the tube? Yeah. They told me to give him that tube in his stomach and don't worry about the medication. I said, no, I refuse. Dr. Nancy and I would talk.
I said, no way. Yeah.
We would talk back and forth. And she was like, you know, and she would talk to Omar. And we tried to get him. And then I had a lawyer, friend, Lisa Prosty. So we would all be talking, and she would try to get me into Presbyterian. But during COVID, I mean, we couldn't win. Yeah. And everything was great with Councilman King. Thank you. He got us in there. He got us treated. We got out. But then when COVID came and he went into ICU, that was it. So
and
now,
what about all the parents who don't have a doctor like you or a friend like you to be like, no, that's too much?
That Kendra has, for consulting others.
This is Jamil Flores at Isaiah's bedside. We've been at Monty many times. We were just recently at Monty, and they tried to kick me out. They told me he was going to call ACS. He had COVID, and every time he gets COVID, they know that it's very severe for Isaiah because of his condition. So they couldn't give him the pills because of all the meds he's on. And they refused to admit my son. And when they refused to admit him, I said, you are going to admit him. So I tried to call NYU. NYU didn't help me. So I was like, I was trying to figure out what to do. And then I asked for somebody to advocate. They wouldn't help me. And then I was just like, I prayed, and I just asked God to help me. He got upstairs. I told him, you have to give him the IV treatment. Once he gets the IV treatment, he'll be fine. And we could go home. The remdesivir takes, I think, just a couple of days, 3 days. 2-3 days. So finally, I got him upstairs. They said, we'll test him one more time. If he has this strain, we're going to give it to him. So he had such a severe strain that they had to give him the remdesivir. So imagine he had a fever of 105 when I came in there. I said, I'm not taking him back home. So you have to advocate. Now, when Isaiah gets 18, that's when his problems will start if I don't get my guardianship. So now guardianship takes quite a bit of time. So right now, the next step for us is guardianship. I didn't give you this happy show with the credit cards because it's not happy. For a lot of people, this is not happy. So we have to talk about both. Yes.
I want to touch on the guardianship piece as it relates to self-direction. There's actually a place in the budget where you can set aside money for guardianship. And that's also reimbursable, but again, you have to pay out of pocket.
Can you explain what that means exactly?
To be reimbursed.
Set what money aside for guardianship?
So when you get a budget amount, let's say hypothetically they give you $50,000. Those programs I previously mentioned, so the community classes, the camps, the staff activity fees, all this, the GPS, all this stuff, you can set aside money for each of those. You can say, hey, listen, I want to put $10,000 in camp. Actually, I lie. The max is $4,000. You'll say, I want to put $4,000 in camp. I want to put $10,000 in community classes. You know, my GPS costs me maybe about $500 a year. So you set aside this money for each of these options respectively. Now, when it comes to guardianship, there is a way you can get guardianship covered in the budget. But again, you do have to pay out of pocket and then be reimbursed.
So is that for the attorney?
Yes, so it's payment to whomever it is that you're paying to assist with guardianship.
Because I wanted to get an attorney.
So,
she was like, well, it costs this much. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yes.
But if you really don't and you can't get it through your budget, you can go through the court system. And through the court system, they will help you with the process. It's about a 10-year process. It's about a, I mean, sorry, it's about a 10 years of addresses that they're looking for. So start preparing for your 10 years of address.
Right.
You might have lived in the same place for 10 years, but there's certain things you have to prepare for
Some
the
data
guardianship. So just start getting ready.
And a lot of those evaluations, if you're willing to wait, you can do, for free or covered by the insurance through YAI, AHRC, those organizations that serve autistic patients specifically. They'll do the guardianship evaluations, and the guardianship requires basically 2 evaluations from 2 different doctors. So if parents are a little bit savvy, they can get most of it done on their own, probably even without the lawyer's consultation.
But it's much easier. But
it is easier with an
but
attorney.
You know what?
It
we
is.
got to do what we got to do because we don't.
Yeah.
If we don't got it like that, we got to listen. People, you got to do it. People.
But lawyers are expensive. Some of them charging $500 an hour.
And you can just go to the court and ask them to help you. And I want to say this because it's just so much out of pocket that we have to worry about. And our children are really expensive. They be like, you can't just tell our kids no. I'm like, it's very difficult. So it costs a lot of money. So when you be like that $5, I'm like, $5? They ain't got nothing left. Be telling they don't got nothing left. Yeah. And when you you can't work and then you only get the SSI check, it's not a lot. Right. So these parents really don't have a lot. But I want you to stay tuned. I will be giving out the information for my event so you guys can come. I'm going to try to get some vendors there. I'm going to try to get some fun stuff there for the kids and some kind of spa day for us, something fun for us because we deserve it. We tired. We exhausted. If you don't know how to advocate and you have for schools, we want to talk about schools 1 quick minute. If you don't have your son or daughter in an appropriate school, that's something we really got to talk about because everything comes together. This is a whole process of how you're making it look. Like she has every service. She's like that, she's, acting like she has that Halle Berry money and she's just getting it back. She's just getting her money back. Just wait. You just putting the money out.
You say that?
Yeah, I'm saying you got that Halle Berry. Compared to me, you got the Halle Berry money.
You need to stop
I don't care. No, they're gonna be looking for your money, right? Coming in, your family members gonna pop up off the woods and look for you.
No, but as a former special education advocate, because that's what I was prior to being a broker, I do agree with you as far as parents needing to advocate for their kids when it comes to the special education system. It's very important.
Very early. Get your diagnosis very early. You can just ask your doctor. We start getting signals, signs, and those signals that we never pay attention to, the signal, the sign, or nothing. So you start getting that like when they're 12 months, a little bit more. We know more now. Your doctors are supposed to be paying attention. They have more training now. So around 12 months, 18. I knew when Isaiah was 18 months, he lost all his speech. Yeah, so 12 months. They know now at 12 months. So just ask your doctor. If you think things are a little bit off, ask your doctor.
And can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I just want to say this one more thing too. When your child is looking to age out of early intervention, so they're 3, you can look into self-direction services.
Is it 3 or 4?
3 early intervention.
What age do they start?
Well, it's from birth until they claim it's from birth until but not early intervention. No. OPWDD services.
No, but they told I've heard from parents that they have to wait till they're 3.5, 4 to start.
I have 3-year-olds on my caseload.
Well, 3 to 4, 3 years old.
I have 3-year-olds
3 years old, not
my
under.
caseload.
I haven't
Right,
seen
that's what I'm saying.
over,
When they're getting out of early intervention.
Oh, out. Okay.
Yeah, when they're getting out of early intervention, you can start looking into if you'd like to.
I've been telling
because some people think that their kids are too young. I've had that people. Oh, she's too young. No,
because you're gonna lose services. You're gonna lose the best thing. You're gonna lose is the ABA person you have. You're gonna lose ABA because all those speech services. Some of our kids are still not. I'm gonna tell you how hard I work, and we have attorneys, but how hard I work is that Isaiah gets speech 6 times a week. Kids typically will never see that. 3 times a week is the typical speech. Isaiah gets speech. It's only 5 days in a week. And in school, he gets services for speech 6 times. You can do push-ins, you can do social groups, because for autism, it's partly social.
Skills, yes.
Yeah, social. So there's a lot we can do. You're going to lose the ABA person. The ABA person is very important. There was a point, I'll tell you quickly, Isaiah couldn't eat meat. I couldn't cook. He won't eat meat. He will never eat meat, like he won't. but I couldn't even cook meat. He couldn't smell meat. When he became 12, you know how those signs of autism just comes right out? Like those signs, he couldn't take the smell of meat. At almost $200 an hour to come in to get rid of that behavior. So I sued the Board of Ed, and we got 1 million ABA hours at home for a teacher to do at home. Chantelle.
No, I was going to say absolutely, but you can also use the Medicaid waiver to substitute for some of those services too.
Yeah.
Because you can get speech therapy, you can get OT with a Medicaid, straight Medicaid waiver. You can get, you can get those services. So even if your child gets them in school, you can also get them out of school.
Yes. And make sure you know, I just want to let you know, you probably don't know this, but you can still have a home health day and your ComHab, your respite, all those things. You can still have all of them at the same time. And that's just more support for you. Because you know with our kids, we need all the support we can get. Now, the one thing I'm worried about is that when our parents can't handle it, what happens when it's just too much, but they want to keep their kids at home. And, they're stressed out, and what do? And then people are afraid to bring the services in the home because they might end up with an ACS case. Some parents, I've heard this, that they're afraid. That they're afraid because, maybe if somebody just haul off, it could be Joey or Quay or anybody. One of them will haul off and hit a parent, and then the parent is screaming, and then what? Or shaking, or, push, or little... is that an ACS case? So we got to worry about, like, how do we help the parents? And then I think Dr. Nancy, like, can we let her do this one? So I think it's very important because, and I think some of the schools do the same thing. They have a program with the parent and with the child. But I know, can you offer services, like, to help the parent and the child over there? Can you treat them? Can they come in and have a session?
We have counseling for children, of course, and for patients as well. And for patients that are, we tend to serve patients who are not in the OPWDD population specifically. So Hudson River or Sun River Health will offer medication management, psychiatric treatment for autistic patients, but when they require additional services like ABA therapy, family counseling, again, we can refer them to YAI or AHRC, a specialized clinic. Those clinics can do dyadic therapy, family interventions, and if the patient is an autistic patient, a little bit higher functioning and is verbal, we can at our institution also work with such individuals, either individually or with the parents to, for psychoeducation, conflict resolution.
And so please give out the intake number one more time. Dr. Nancy Wahab, everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Hi. It's, again, Sun River Health, 844-400-1975. And,
Thank you. Okay. Talk to me one more time. What would you like to close with? You've been amazing. You've told us so much stuff.
Thank you. What do I want to close with? I want to say if you're on the fence, thinking about it, not quite sure, go for it. You can always return back to traditional services. If you go into self-direction, you realize, hey, you know what, it's not for me, I don't like it, you can always go back to traditional services so you don't lose anything. So I say give it a try. Trust me, you're going to gain more than you're getting right now in traditional services.
And use it in staffing. Use it for staffing, because staffing can help you reach the goals with your children that you're trying to reach that you can't achieve alone. Because we can't do anything alone, people. We need we need some help. So first thing first, let's go through the whole skippy of the whole thing of navigating the spectrum. So first, we got to get the diagnosis, right, Dr. Nancy?
Yes.
We got to know what autism is, what it looks like, right? That's number one, get the diagnosis.
Yes.
After we get the diagnosis, then what's next? We're going to try to go to the pediatrician and say, listen, we need a home health aide. Can you write me a prescription for a home health aide, right? So I can get some assistance, so I can breathe while I'm trying to wrap my mind around this and get services, correct?
Correct.
And then after we get the home health aide, then now we can call care design, because now we're ready for
Now
care
you have
design.
time.
Now we have
Now you have
time.
time.
We got time.
You got
For
time
care
now.
design, which is 973-0125, and that's care design intake. Call for intake and tell them that you need a care manager so that you can go forward with OPWDD services.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you, Chantelle Paige. I want to say thank you to Dr. Nancy Wahab, the medical director
Thank you.
of Sun River Health. I love you both, and God bless you, ladies. Thank you so much for showing us and breaking down and navigating the autism spectrum.
And thank you for doing the show. It's important, and it's good
love
that
you.
it's good that you're doing this. So that's great.
We're going to keep... You better come to my event, Chantelle.
Yes,
The
I
21st.
will.
You coming? Okay. All right, the 21st. She always helps me. Like, this lady, and now you my new... Yeah. All right, I love you guys.
Whoa, 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 whoa. truth be known, we never had a boring moment in our lives. With Kendra on the radio,